But we begin with the guilty plea from the 16-year-old suspect accused of gunning down 4 students and injuring several others at a high school in Michigan last November. Trevor Alt is in Pontiac, Michigan for us. Joins me live now from outside the courthouse where all of this happened today. Trevor, it was dramatic at times as the prosecutor was doing voir dire of this 16-year-old, asking him if it's true. Did you do all this? He said yes. It's all 24 counts. Tell us what else went down in court today.
Sure. So Ethan Crumbley is this now 16-year-old. He was 15 when he now admits he committed this mass shooting at Oxford High School, killing 4 of his fellow students and injuring 7 others. And today in court, essentially the prosecutors methodically went down the line on 24 separate counts, including terrorism causing death, including 4 counts of first-degree murder, making sure that Ethan Crumbley, this teenager, understood his actions, that all of these killings were premeditated, that he weighed the pros and cons, and that he wanted to kill these students who he now admits he killed. And so now Ethan Crumbley is facing the possibility of life in prison. In fact, it's very likely that could be the case, although the fact that he's a teenager and a minor means parole is potentially on the table. His sentencing is set for next year. But what we also watched happen today, Phil, and it was a relatively short hearing, we did see what appeared to be the prosecution gathering at least a little bit more evidence as Ethan Crumbley's parents are also facing charges. They're charged with 4 counts each of involuntary manslaughter. And the prosecution asked Ethan Crumbley today about the weapon that was used in the killing. They asked him to confirm that his parents had bought that weapon, and they asked him to confirm that it was unlocked when he took it that morning, brought it to school, and then committed this killing. And that access to the weapon is one of many angles which the prosecution is using to try to form their argument as to why these parents were criminally negligent leading up to the shooting and also need to be held responsible. And Phil, we are actually expecting to hear from the prosecutor's office in just about a half hour or so. We will definitely be asking them about that.
And we could also hear from the teenage shooter in his parents' trial. This is all. Trevor, talk about what happens next. I mean, we know the sentencing, as you just mentioned, comes next year. But this case is really a first of its kind that we know of, right?
Absolutely. So this is the first that we know of in a school shooting where the parents are facing charges. And you make a great point, which is the fact that Ethan Crumbley, while he has pleaded guilty here, now he won't have his own trial. He waived his right to it today. We could still see him on the stand because the attorneys for his parents have said they would call him to testify. And presumably it would not be it would be to help their case, not necessarily to support them together as a family. I mean, the prosecutors have released some really serious charges here that the parents ignored a lot of red flags, that they were oblivious, that Ethan Crumbley was telling his mother he was seeing ghosts and demons in the house, that he was obsessed with firearms, that he was searching school shootings on his phone so often he was getting spam advertisements for mental health, that he was filming himself at home torturing animals, that the parents were spending thousands of dollars on alcohol, that they weren't getting him the mental health treatment that he needed. Now the parents say they were unaware of all of these red flags, that they did what they could, and that they should not be held criminally responsible here. Their trial is set to begin in January. They're being charged together. And hanging over all of it, Phil, is the fact that prosecutors also allege that the parents tried to flee, that the day of the shooting, that they bought several cell phones. They withdrew thousands of dollars. They spent the night as they were facing charges in an artist warehouse, too. So this is going to be a very controversial and a very highly watched trial, even though the fact that we've got guilty pleas from the actual school shooter in this school shooting, this is truly unprecedented, and this is not the last of this case, Phil.
Yeah, it's such a heartbreaking mess, and it ended up with, so many lives shattered. Trevor Alt from Pontiac, Michigan, thank you so much. And for more on this, I want to bring in host and legal analyst at the Law and Crime Network, Terry Austin. Terry, thanks for hanging with us throughout the morning on this. Let's start, because I'm so fascinated with that terrorism charge. We've covered so many of these school shootings, and sure, it's terrorism. People are terrorized. They're scared. But why the top charge, terrorism causing death?
I think the prosecution is trying to make a point here. Terrorism is what we saw here when you have a mass shooting like this, and they're saying, look, this is no different from international terrorism. This is terrorism. You are frightening the community, and we want to bring this charge against you. I thought it was really novel, and I think it absolutely makes sense that they should do that here, in addition, obviously, to the murder charges that were also brought.
And we're talking about the parents. Trevor just laid out the case against them. And earlier on in the day, he was talking about red flags. You know, they don't get any more red than what he just laid out. So this is a tough case to make against any parent. We've seen people want to make it before, but this time it seems like the prosecutor has some beef to the case.
This time, Phil, I think it is different because if you look at this in totality, you see that these parents are enabling their child. They are not getting him the help that he needs, and he's been crying out for help. Apparently, he wrote in his journal, "I need help. I think I am, having voices in my head, and my parents are ignoring me." And then in addition to that, there's a volatile situation in the home. There's fighting back and forth. They buy him this gun. All of that connected, I definitely think it makes you wonder why we haven't seen charges like this in cases where you have that many facts. And this case, I think, is very different from other cases. There's everything here to say that these parents should be held responsible, and it will send a message to other parents. When you have issues like this, you need to take accountability for it, and you need to make a change. Not just the school, not just the shooter, but also the parents.
Just quickly before we go, no plea deals here.
No plea deals.
You think that there would be something connected to the parents' case or anything like that? This is just a clean changing of the plea. Any idea why it happened?
I think he must have realized that all of the evidence is against him. We have video of him going out of the bathroom with the gun. I think he just said, look, I'm just going to plead guilty. It's going to be a trial, and it's going to waste money. And he made the right decision. No deal, though. He just pled guilty.
All right. Terry, thanks so much for the expertise.
Thank you.
We'll see you in just a little bit.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.